Hey, G here. So I'm starting off my vlogs with this particular race. It's the 5th race of the Charleston Sprint Series. This race has been going on for a ton of years. I get the privilege to race this during the summer. The summer months are, the hot months, the months that's like in the middle of your season, and I use these races to sharpen my knife set, sharpen my tools, and the monotony of training hours upon hours. So I get to do this. They host it every Sunday, about every 3 or 4 weeks apart. And the 5th race is the championship race. It's the race where if you race the entire series, it's double the points, and it's based off a point system, which I can't really explain to you how they do the point. I know it's legit, it works, but essentially the more races you do, the better chances you have, so you can win the series. And I race and this is one of the few races in the state that has like an open elite, like pro division. It just allows anybody to step in and be able to race. And the rest of them, they're split up in age groups, and so they have their different waves. But anywho's, it's a fantastic race, and I love this race course. I love the bike course. It's like a course where you can really hammer. Not super technical at the very start, but there are some turns. And what you'll notice that it is an open course, so you'll see cars, just like the one that you're seeing right now. And it's just a matter of going around them, making sure your bike skills are okay. And obviously you want to be safe, but at the same time, it is a race, and almost anything goes, and high risk, high reward, or whatever. But yeah, I always wanted to start vlogging my races. I never really had the motivation to do it, but this go around, on this particular race, on the 4th series, I had a really great bike split, and I guess there's a little bit of a misconception that there was a little bit of cheating involved. So I wanted to use this race to kind of prove a point that I'm not the greatest professional triathlete. I'm not even, I don't win big major Ironmans. I don't do that. But I take a lot of pride in me being a professional, and also the amount and sacrifice of day to day to do this. I sacrificed a lot in my life to be able to do this, so I take it very seriously. And even I come to like races like this particular race, where it's just a sprint, and it it's a community race, a local race, I take it just as seriously as any other race. Normally these races fall under like a heavy training block for me, because I train a little longer on the run and on the bike during the summers, prepping me for like the end of the season. But again, I race, so I come to race. And the beautiful thing about triathlons, and particularly like the longer races, or even just being able to race, is you don't have to go PRs in every single race or in every single discipline at every single time. If someone's like has better bike legs than me, and I know I shouldn't pass them or go around them or anything like that, I can sit back and mark them 12, 15 meters back, and just hold them there, keep them there, and kind of match their pace a little bit without really drafting or anything like that, and save myself for the run. Because ultimately, you do want the faster splits, because that's what wins the race, but you also want to win the race. So if I have the fastest bike split but then the worst run split, and I get caught, that kind of defeats the purpose of a triathlon, which is 3 sports, but essentially it's 1. So anyways, Today, usually when I get out of the water in this race, I have a background in swimming, so I'm able to comfortably come out in the front, or at least ahead. And I like to take my time to start the race and kind of get my legs underneath me and prep me for the back half, or even the run, which is my Achilles heel. My weakest leg is the run, so I like to really try to train that, especially in these races, and figure out my pacing and how fast or how many watts I should put out and how comfortable I get off the bike with. But in this race, again, I wanted to prove a point, and I just went gun ho. I've raced this race enough times that I know the corners, I know the nooks and crannies, I know where there's sand. If it rained a couple days before, I know where there's going to be a little the dangerous spots. But again, I do a lot of training on the trainer, but I do go outside as much as possible and work on my bike handling, because bike handling is a huge thing in our sport. So I do take a couple risks, but not too many, and I like to take the turns a little aggressively. But again, the first like 2.5 miles is inside the park, and you're leaving, and it's like the most technical part. The turnaround on the way out is on the way back to the park is your next technical part, but the rest of it is pretty much flat and fast. So here I'm going back around where transition was. I didn't really know who was behind me at the moment. I just know that normally there's a couple strong cyclists, or there was this year there's been one strong guy that's been coming out the water close to me and then catching me leaving the park. Like I said, I like to kind of start it a little slow. So this one I said, get out of the park first, hammer it, and then hammer it out. Excuse the potato quality on some of the footage that's not on like the GoPro, like on the bike. But that was because my dad did me a solid and he filmed with his iPhone, and I wanted to get a different angle. But anyways, so we are about to leave the park. Like I said, it's an open course, but they do an awesome job in getting us like a lead van or a lead car to kind of, make sure the road is safe or there's no traffic, and to every major turn that there's somebody there, so nobody really gets lost, and just letting them know, hey, the race has started. So going here, I don't want anybody to think that there's drafting or anything involved. So I'm glad the van is way up in front. I'm hammering. I got my head down. I don't have a power meter. Like, my power meter the battery died 2 days ago, and I haven't replaced it. And my goal is to do that before the next race, or it should be done this week. But that's why you don't see any powers. But I was hammering, and then here we leave the park and it's a straight shot. I mean, there's very minimal turns. The roads aren't like the most perfect roads, but they're great. I have something like 120 psi in the back and 110 in the front. I know the roads well enough that I felt like I could put more psi than normal, so I can just roll through them. There's a couple instances where I was bouncing like a basketball, but anyways, again, these roads are flat. I mean, there's a little bit of a false flat here and there, but man, I made that turn out of the park, and it's just like I want to hammer. I know the guy that normally catches me, or we ride together on the bike, he's had a great season so far. He fixed some things during his training, and he's just like a workhorse. He moves. He is a stud. So I knew that if he was going to catch me today, it would be in the back end. But the goal here was not to get caught. I wanted a solo effort. In my mind, I kind of wanted the bike course record. There's no official course record like that they post or say or anything like that. But if you're an endurance athlete, Strava is king. So if you have Strava and you check the bike course, that's what keeps you motivated, is to go get those segments. There's a couple segments on this course that I didn't really care about. I just wanted the overall, and I think the time for the course record, or the Strava KOM, was like 27 minutes and 30 seconds or 31 seconds. It's 27 minutes 30 seconds, and then it's like an average of like 26 and a quarter or 26.15 or something crazy like that. And I felt like I could get it today. I was seeing red again. I take a lot of pride in this sport, and it's not that you can't work with somebody else, because you definitely can, through the respecting the rules, keeping that 15-meter distance apart. But I wanted that solo effort. I wanted the solo hustle, and I went into it already saying that I was going to have a crappy run. I didn't care how my legs felt getting off the bike. If I have to walk the 5K, I didn't care. If I got caught there, I just wanted to hammer the bike. So the whole goal of my bike was hammer. And the first 15 minutes, I was trying to do a little bit like 20 seconds full gas and in 40 seconds roll a little bit. So I was going up and down, literally like a fartlek. So you'll see sometimes my speed goes up to 30 or 29 and then it drops steadily back down to like 26, 27. I felt good. My legs didn't feel 110% like I wanted them to. I only gave myself like about a day of rest, a day and a half of rest. But they were there, they were responding. Anytime I said I needed to go, I was able to do it. So yeah, this course is very beautiful. It's not super scenic, but the best part about this course is that it's very shaded, especially at the start. And if you're gonna get wind, it's always gonna be headwind. But since it's nicely shaded, you don't feel it as much. So it's an awesome course to really not just work a little bit of your bike handling, because there's not much, but to really be able to hammer, put your head down, and just go. So I love it. And again, it's a perfect race, and it's split out perfectly throughout the summer that I can manage my training around it and be able to get a good summer session and then really test out different methods or different things on the bike and on the run and on the swim, in a race scenario. Because if you want to be a great racer, you have to race. It's just like training. So here I am again, head down, going as hard as I can, trying to keep my shoulders relaxed, trying to stay as relaxed as possible, breathing nice and deep. My heart rate monitor, the battery also died, no power, so I was going mostly by feel, but I could see the speed. I didn't know the average speed at the time. I just know I wanted to be above 26 miles an hour. That's all I cared about, and I was able to, for the most part, do that. We're approaching the first right bend. It's a pretty sharp turn, and I noticed the pace car goes left, and I was like, oh, are they turning around? What are they doing? And then I see that they're going forward. I risked it. I kind of hoped they just sped up, and it worked out. That would have been very bad if I was taken out by the race car, but it worked out. I saw what they were doing, and that turn is sharp enough that you can make a quick glance to your right and see if anybody's coming, and I saw nobody. So it just fueled me even more to really crank it out. Like I said, the guy that that's been riding with me this summer, to me he's a great cyclist and super strong, but when I raced him this whole summer, I can tell that he's either like just a straight TTist, like he does the TTs all day, or he does a lot of trainer workouts, because he really didn't take the turns aggressively. And in the last race, that's where I was like catching him. He would put a little bit of a gap on me. I can keep him in front. He was 15-20 meters ahead, and if it was a straight line, I think he would have probably dropped me a little bit. But at every turn that we had, I was able to really close it and even almost pass him. But since he's such a workhorse, he was able to bounce back into his average pace quickly. But again, I was able to really make up a lot of ground on the turn, so I knew that's what he was probably going to ride like that today. So I hammered off every turn, knowing that I could make it even more of a gap if I just keep the tension on the pedals and just go. We're approaching like the back half of this road, where it kind of winds left a little bit. There's a little bit of sketch roads around here. I know these roads, so I kind of know where to go to and turn or veer off from the far right. But I was seeing red. I just wanted to hammer and do it within like the legal limits, not getting to the left side and cutting course a little bit, or trying to find the best line possible in taking it. So here in this section of the course is where you hit the most headwind, but I didn't feel a lick of it, so I was really happy going into this part. And again, it's a race, and sometimes we're so into it that we forget to enjoy what we are doing. And I've always taken it upon myself on this turn here, because you go straight into the sun, like the sunrise essentially. And it's not that you're blinded or it's blaring or anything. It's one of those moments where it's like, bask in the moment, enjoy what you're doing, be completely grateful, take a deep breath, and then get back into the headspace. Because sometimes we forget, we do this because we want to, because we love the sport and we love the challenge. but we have to enjoy the process. At least that's what I believe. But yeah, this is the best part for me. This is a part where it's like, all right, I have the legs, I'm feeling it within myself, I need to just keep hammering. There's not very much traffic on a Sunday morning, which is amazing. This is residential, so occasionally a couple cars come out of the way, but for the most part it's pretty safe. They've done it so many years. These people already know what's happening. They're aware there's like a bike race happening in front of their house, and some summers I'll see people kind of cheering outside, but again, it's just a local race and the community supports it, which is amazing, because it's hard to find a community that supports their local races as much as this place does, and I enjoy it. So on this part here, this is another turn where you kind of can look right. I decided not to, because I wanted to hammer to the turnaround to start booking it home. Make the right turn, and you kind of want to stay on the right hand side of this and hug it, because there is open to traffic and they let cars go. So I was fortunate there's no cars coming, but that I could go a little wider. But again, at any moment, a car can take you out, and there's your race or almost your career. And we approached this little bit of a falls flat, which is like a 2%, 3% gradient for like maybe 100 feet. And at this point, I know if I go over this little hump as fast as possible, because of the rolling speed that I'm getting through this falls flat coming up, I can extend the gap a little bit. I can move a little quicker forward. So I start trying to hammer again. Like I'm within my zone. I'm within my limits. I wish I had my heart rate. I don't think I was above 165 max, and I wish I had a power meter, because I would like to know what I'm holding. I don't know what my FTP is at the moment. It's like maybe 320, if that. I've been doing some bike workouts specifically for TT. I went into a little slump after Ironman Texas. I had a really bad day there, and I had a little bit of health issues prior to that. But outside the point, I was in a slump a little bit, and yeah, so I'm glad to be bouncing back. This turnaround is the other, let's call it, technical part. Charleston's notorious for flooding, so if it rains, this is one of the areas that floods. It's been flooded in a race before, but there's always gravel and sand here. So this is the if someone's gonna fall, it's gonna be right here. You see it right there on your left. Sometimes it's all the way out. I've been in the grass before. I've slipped and fell before. Like that's the spot that's the most dangerous. And now that we're turning around, going back, now I can see where my competition is. Now I can gauge where I'm at and where everybody else is at. And you'll see them on the left. On this point, I only can see one person that's just making their right, and that happens to be the guy that came in second that day, but he was third at that point. So I knew that the stronger cyclist was ahead, but I still had about 30 to 40 seconds on him in that turn there. He takes it very slow, and I'm just trying to spread the field open as much as possible and kind of go solo for the entire way. Fourth place passed by, fifth place will pass by shortly, and then the last person is sixth place. And at that point, I know those guys were about 2.5 to 3 minutes behind. Again, I wanted to be like out of sight, out of mind in this race. I wanted to not be seen. I wanted to hammer as hard and as fast as possible, completely disregarding the run. I knew that was going to hurt regardless, especially because I was trying to hammer the time trial. But it feels good to have the legs to do what you want to do. So this is the way back. This is like the home stretch. There's one more major turn before you get to the park, which is coming up, and it's another chance to kind of peek over and see who's close. But gauging from that turn here, I had about a 30-40 second gap. I know that turn was going to be slow for some of them, so I wanted to increase that gap as much as possible. And again, it's open roads, so you have these cars on the right. It's pretty safe. I want to say they know not to go left. I mean, there's the cones around, and then there's like police officers in certain corners and areas, and no one's a real jerk. I've never experienced like a real jerk in Charleston, so yeah, thank you. And here I wanted to continue pedaling. You can see the bike kind of go a little bit left and right because I'm trying to hammer as hard as possible. It's a little bit of a false flat, then goes a little bit of false flat down. But yeah, it's open, man. It's just go. And then usually when it's windy, this is the tailwind section. This is the section where you can really pick up and crank speed because it's a tailwind, it's open, and it's a little bit of like a down incline in certain areas, or at least it feels that way. So you can see that the speed stays consistent. It's above 26 miles an hour, which was the goal, especially because I didn't have no watts or anything. And we're approaching the left-hand turn that I was saying earlier, like the last chance for you to peek over to see who's close. I was feeling pretty good at the moment. I know my heart rate was kind of spiking a tad bit, but again, that aside, I wanted to continue cranking and cranking hard. Yeah, I been doing some great bike workouts the last 3 weeks, in particular for this specific race. The last race I did something like a century 2 days before, and then a hard 40-mile bike the day before that one. So I didn't have the legs with me, but I had a great bike split. So today I wanted to have the great bike split and have the great legs, but it worked out. At the end of the day, it worked out. The goal was achieved. I enjoyed it, and I watch a lot of vloggers on YouTube, especially when I'm training on the trainer, and saw a couple bike workouts and said, you know what, I'm going to do it. And then this is the result. I was able to really crush the bike today and feel good about it. Last little bend, make the turn. Normally on this turn, I kind of ease off the pedals a little bit because I'm gauging to see where everybody's at the left. I kind of get my breath back and then start slowly and progressively adding more power to the pedals and, you know, head back towards the park. But this time around, it was, you're off the turn, go, just move. And this part here is really fun and motivating because this is where you see everybody from the different age groups or the different waves coming on by, and I enjoy it because everybody in this sport is so dang supportive. Everybody supports each other, and that's what I love about this sport. Every endurance sport, whether you're swimming, you're cycling, or you're running, everybody in the community is so supportive. So that's what I appreciate about all of this. And riding down this road just reminds me of why I love this sport. I hear a couple of cheers, some waves. I know a lot of the people there because again, it's a community race, and you know, you want to support your community. And yeah, man, it just gives you a better ability to just keep hammering. It kind of takes the pain away because it's not that you're focusing on everybody else, but you hear that and it just motivates you because they're also going through the same thing you are. They're also hammering the bike. They're also, you know, sacrificed and did some, you know, took their time to train for this and to really go after and compete. So I just enjoy that atmosphere. That's why I'm addicted to it. So, and on this way back, there's usually tailwind if there's wind, but not that day. There is no wind that day, but it's just that one feel that I'm almost back. I know I'm at the last bit of this bike, and since I'm not thinking about the run, I'm not letting up. I am moving, and this is where I was within my zone saying, if I'm going to get caught, it's going to be caught here, but I'm going to make it half damn near impossible for them to catch me. Yeah, so I was able to, in sections, kind of just blare it forward. You notice that my speed reached up to 30 miles an hour. I would call that a little bit of a mistake because I'm burning matches. I'm burning matches, but I'm so motivated to get that KOM. I'm real motivated to get the bike preem. I'm real motivated just to split the distance and open up the gap as far as possible. And man, and I was all about it. but it's luscious, man. Look at that, all those trees, the road. It's just an awesome race course. The run's the same. It's 2 laps within the park, and it's just you go 1 lap inside and 1 lap outside that area where you bike that. So it's just a great race overall. So right at the back end, I know where I'm at. I know I need to hammer. I am starting to feel fatigue in this spot, but I'm able to kind of just keep my composure together. I'm rolling really well. I don't feel the bumps. I don't feel the cracks in the road, and like I said, I'm keeping my hands, my shoulders as relaxed as humanly possible, and just breathing, man. It's just gotta breathe. If you control your breathing, you can control the situation for the most part. And the temperature that day was about high 80s, but the humidity was like 96, 97. So I was sweating. Like, I was sweating a good amount. Luckily, I have this awesome hydration company named Slay RX, and man, they've been amazing. So that's what I'm drinking. That's what on my bike. So I know I'm not gonna cramp and I'm not gonna be dehydrated because I'm literally putting back in the system what I'm putting out. So I'm not really worried about that, but I just know I'm sweating a lot. The humidity was very high, and still it was a good feeling that everything kind of clicked on the bike. Approaching this last little segment, this last little part here, there's a bridge that's coming up, and it's notorious for me hitting it hard and either losing a bottle or losing something. I ride Ventum now, so there is no bottle to lose, which I love. It's integrated with the bike, is the best thing in the world. So I'm not really nervous about that, but I don't want to blow a tire. I did put a lot of pressure on it, so I find my line a little closer to the left where the crevice of the road and the bridge kind of a little higher match, but you'll see like a little line. It doesn't look too thick here on video, boom, but it is. And trust me, you can have a bad time passing that. So I get over that, I'm getting there. See the van's about to make the left. I'm about to make the left on this on this area, which is back inside the park. My job's almost done. When I'm racing comfortably, I make this left turn and I kind of start taking my time and really spin out a little bit, flush the lactic acid, get ready for the run. But in this particular race, I say screw that. I'm going all the way to the transition line. I'm hammering. I don't want to get caught. I don't want to give up any time. I want to just go. And yeah, we're about to reach that last little bit. After this bend right here, you see people, it's still motivating, and then you start getting ready for the run. But I had a great bike split. I went 27:31 and missed the course record by 1 second. I missed the KOM by 1 second, so it wasn't too devastating because I had a successful race, but still 1 second. That just means I'm more work to do for next year, and I'm still hungry. So that was the bike portion. This vlog is mostly about the bike portion of it, because that's where the race really happens here. But yeah, it was fantastic. I averaged something like 26.1 mile an hour for that bike course. I was able to sustain the run. I think I ran like, I don't know, 6:30s, but I had such a gap. I had about a minute and a half gap that I held everybody off, and I was able to kind of take the win by over a minute 30, securing my top spot at the series and then winning the series, which was, this is a home race, a local race. It's a race where my dad raced. I was 15 when I raced, so I take a lot of pride in this, because it's just been going on for so many years, and I race so many wonderful and great people, and then the local pros come and race this race too, and it's just fantastic. So it was just a good overall race. Yeah, so I just had a blast. So that was my race vlog. I'm gonna do more in the future, and again, your average pro triathlete. Yeah.